introduction for people. This is going to be our second tech talk. If anyone has any questions for us to do with software, hardware, anything like that with our scales, we have a little question box at the bottom. You can send in your question and we can bring it up. But I think the main thing I wanted to talk to you about today is drift on scales, and maybe when you turn on your scale and it doesn't go past like the
past the loading screen.
Past the loading screen.
I'm down the clown.
Nice.
Yeah. Do you want to wait for people to hop on, or do you want just like jump straight into it?
Yeah, we can jump straight into it because we've actually already got like a lot of people watching.
Cool.
So yeah, yeah.
I figured we'd start with just our first product, the original Pearl. Not when I say original Pearl, I don't mean like Kickstarter, just like our original model. Some of the things that can cause drift. So let's start with like, what is drift? Drift is fluctuation in weight. So when you place an object on the scale, it's not reading a stable weight. It's kind of going up and down. It can be up and down by tenths of a gram or up and down by whole grams. Some of the things that can cause that, like 9 times out of 10, it's physical contact of some kind. That physical contact can be a little piece of the protective foam stuck in between the shell and the base. There's a protective foam that ships with your scale. It ships with your scale. It's like part of the unboxing. Our first run, I want to say in like 2014, 2015, the protective foam that we had was a little sticky. It was easy to get sticky and like stuck in between the base and shell, so it was a little more of a common issue. Yeah, and it's just tiny. It's not something that you would like easily just right away like, oh, there's something in there. I don't know what's going on. So that we switched to a different kind of protective foam and have since not seen as many of those, but occasionally I'll like come across one. It's like, whoa, kind of a relic of the past.
Been a while.
And we do that for both the original Pearl and the Pearl Model S. And I actually just repaired a Pearl Model S this week, and there was like that sticky foam kind of stuck in there. So it can happen with the Pearl Model S as well. Let's see. Something that can cause...
Someone's just saying there, I always thought it was my fan blowing directly on it. That can also be a reason that it drifts as well.
Yes, that is, it's definitely one of the possible issues. Vibration. So,
earthquakes.
What's that?
Earthquakes.
Earthquakes can cause drifting, as we've seen in the past. The vibration can cause drifting if, say, like you're grinding on a not so stable surface, such as a like table. You've seen like bowling tables used for like competition. So while that grinding is occurring, maybe you'll see a little difference between like tenths of a gram, but like once the grinding stops, should be fairly steady. Then again, like also, we've had people contact us and they're saying like, hey, my scale's drifting just like maybe 1 or 2 tenths of a gram, and then they'll realize they're right underneath like an air conditioning vent, and so like a fan is blowing on the scale. It's a very sensitive scale. All of our scales are very sensitive and very accurate. Let's see. Something else that can cause the scale to fluctuate in weight would be if you have your scale plugged in. It's like a third point of contact, or on the scale. So you have your base touching the counter, the object touching the shell, and then you have a third point of contact, the wire plugged into the back of the shell, also touching the counter. So you have like this third point of contact. And it's not like it's going to be dramatic, but it's not going to be as accurate with the scale, or with the scale unplugged.
Yeah, steam from a steam on it can definitely, if it's like directly, like a lunar is directly under a steam wand, it can definitely affect it.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure, for sure.
Yeah.
Another thing that can affect drift with the original pearl is loose screws. So if your scale got dropped, you might have like a kind of a loose base. And you can tell the screws are loose just because you can feel that base is just a little loose. If you take a Phillips head screwdriver and you go to tighten these screws, and they're secure, then your load cell screws are probably loose on the inside, resulting from a drop. Let's see. So we've gone over. Let's see. Another thing on the original pearl. Let me open it up real quick. Please don't open your scales, or at least reach out to us for instructions to do so.
Yes.
If you're experiencing drift or fluctuation in weight, please reach out to support@acaia.co. We have like videos, photos of what to look for, and follow the instructions closely. So I'm gonna just do this as an example. All right, so if for whatever reason, I don't know why it would occur, but if for whatever reason you have a wire that's kind of bowing out, that wire is touching both the shell and the base. So there's this third point of contact that I was referring to. Do that a little higher. So if this is bowing out, that's going to touch both the base and shell, causing the scale to fluctuate. And with the pearl, we have clips that the wires clip down into. Let's see.
I think also on, this is my one, but on the lunar, I think it's like if it drops and gets dented, then it can also cause it to drift.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, it's usually just, you can usually tell because there'll be usually a big dent somewhere, and we can see why it's drifting.
Yeah,
but it's like an easy fix.
Yeah. I think one other thing to mention with the original pearl is if for whatever reason the battery tape on the inside snaps, you can normally hear the battery kind of go back and forth. The battery's connected on two sides with screws, but it's also taped. There's like a piece of tape like running along the battery and then into the screws. If one side gets snapped, you can hear like kind of a rattle. That tape is like very, very inexpensive and easy to replace. Something that we can just like mail right out to you, and you'll hear like a rattling. So that should be like the bulk of things. One other thing with the original pearl, if you're not using your heat pad and you're brewing like pour over after pour over after pour over. If you're in a shop, we'll see this more so in a shop than any other place. If you're brewing like 10 chemixes back to back, that heat transfer from the carafe to the load cell inside here, that'll cause the load cell to expand and then contract, and then expand and contract, which is going to cause the scale to fluctuate in weight. So use your heat pads when brewing a pour over. If you've lost your heat pad, we have heat pads available on our website.
Yeah. Someone's just asking, when it comes to replacing the battery, how to go about it. I would say message us.
Yeah, 100% reach out to us. We have batteries that are best for our scales. Also, the length of the wires. Again, you don't want to go to like some third-party battery and get a wire that's just kind of super long, and it can cause that bowing that we were referring to just a little earlier. So with the lunar, like you mentioned, a dent in the shell, and a dent can occur everywhere. It can occur like in a corner. It can occur like on the sides. We've seen like, it hit like this. We've seen it hit like this, where it's kind of just bowing in. So yeah, if you're seeing the base and shell touch, that can cause the scale to drift. So with how the lunar is constructed, there is a little give with base movement. So there is a chance that the base could just be a little twisted. Let's see if I can just do it with my fingers. To where it's just kind of like touching in one corner. So it's just a little twisted. And to get it to where it's not touching, you can usually just kind of like move it back with your fingers just a little bit. You don't want to be causing pressure on the base and shell. You're kind of just holding it in one hand and twisting it with your other. So if the base and shell are touching without a dent, base and shell touching with a dent, again, if wires are bowing on the inside, that can cause drift. And then loose load cell screws, loose base screws, most likely the result of a drop. So maybe you drop the scale just like straight, like that.
Yeah.
And it didn't cause a dent, but it caused the screws to become a little loose. And it's probably not going to come loose on like one drop. It's like after like maybe the fifth drop, you'll start to see some movement. Again, you would see like the base is shifting a little bit, or it's easier to shift it even. That's how you know that you have the screws. Let's see. Heat's not so much of an issue with the lunar because you have that top shell absorbing a lot of that heat, and it's not immediately transferring to that load cell. So you have kind of like a heat sink built in. The heat-resistant pads aren't as necessary with the lunar due to you're mainly using it for espresso and your like demi or your whatever your cup is. That's going to be absorbing the bulk of your espresso heat.
And for say, like if someone is making like pour over on a lunar, because I know a lot of people do, would you put a heat resistant pad on it?
Yeah, I mean, you totally can. I would recommend if you're brewing pour over with one of our scales, go ahead and do it. It's just kind of best practices. Is it going to damage it? No. Is it going to drift like with one or two brews or like pour overs in like one day? No. It would take like, one after another, after another, after another. It's like more so, it's not as big of an issue at home as it is in a shop.
Yeah. I know like drift can occur like from, like when I was working on bar, we used to have our lunars drift a little bit because there would be so much foot traffic going past.
Totally.
So literally just like how busy the shop would be could affect how the lunar was actually measuring stuff.
Yeah, if you have your bar close to the door, just even like that door opening, constantly opening, and you have wind coming through. I mentioned this in the previous Tech Talk. We participated we donated some scales for an AeroPress comp in Atlanta, and the competition was held outside. It was held on the comp was on like patio tables, so it was like kind of like not the most steady surface. and then you had wind coming through as well.
Oh man.
Yeah,
just to Vice City Beans, we are monitoring support emails. You can also DM us on Instagram and let us know what ticket number you have as well.
Yeah, we've assisted Vice City Bean quite a bit. Just make sure you're sending it to acaia.co and not acaia.com. There shouldn't be any issues like with it being filtered out.
Yeah. So I guess this is a bit of a general question. How much is repair? My pearl's a chip in the casing, which I think is causing drift in my case. I would like kind of send us a photo because I don't know. I guess it would depend on like what kind of chip it is.
So ultimately, the damage to the shell of the pearl shouldn't cause issues with drifting. That could be whatever caused that chip could be the reason why your load cell is not properly responding. So, I'd definitely send us an email, support@acaia.co. We'll kind of give you a run through of different possibilities, and like I said, provide you with photos or videos that best help the troubleshooting. Typically there's not an opportunity for this to dent. You can get a chip into it or crack, but that usually won't affect the performance. Something else is likely causing the issue. Whereas if this is physically dented in, it's immediately touching the base. Another thing that can cause drift is, say like your load cell screws are tight, say your base screws are tight, but you're still seeing like this fluctuation in weight, wires are completely down. There could be a chance that if something was dropped on your scale or your scale was dropped, there could be damage to the load cell itself. So when you're going to calibrate your scale, it's showing up error 304, and it's not able to read at like a steady weight. That's because a certain amount of damage has occurred to the load cell. If we have an opportunity to look at your scale, we can determine whether or not the load cell is still healthy. All we need to do is perform a linear calibration, which is kind of like a factory calibration. And we can get you back up and running, or we can replace the load cell if you're based in the US.
So this is not a drift question, but is it better to let the battery go completely flat before recharging, like charge memory before recharging? I think I said that right.
I would say once your scale starts to show low battery, go ahead and charge it. But I don't think there's a need to charge it before that pops up.
Yeah, because I think
go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's you'll start getting a low battery message at like 20%, I think.
And yeah, anywhere between I think 20 to 15%.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely don't go charging it at like 90%. Like you wouldn't do that with pretty much any of your other devices. You want the battery health to last as long as possible. And, to do that, you'd want to let the battery at least run low.
But would you let it completely run out? Like
I mean, I have. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not ideal for, say, like workflow. So if you're in the cafe and like last night it said, 20%, I probably would want to charge it the night before for the person on bar the next day. You might be able to squeeze like that last 20% out through a full working day, but nobody really wants to risk it because like once you kind of get in that lower battery percentage, you just don't want to rush like instantly like when that does happen, you get like 15 people. You're like, cool,
Yeah,
right
you don't
on.
want it
Thanks
turning
for,
off in the middle of a
yeah.
shot.
Yeah. But saying that, like, you don't want to be like overly cautious and never allowing your battery to drop below 50%. You definitely want it to deplete and then recharge, deplete, recharge. If you were to, you're kind of like training your battery to a certain extent. So if you were to do that with, say, like your cell phone, and you never let it drop below 90%, once it gets to 90%, your battery thinks that's like 10% then.
Mm. You can, yeah, that question, you can plug it into a laptop's USB port. That's how I usually charge my scale, is like I'll charge it while I'm working. And another thing, I think a lot of people don't know this, is that you don't need to charge it overnight.
No, yeah.
No.
It can take about 4 hours to fully charge the battery, though. So I understand why people opt to do it, but it's better to just, like, once you're fully closing down your bar or you're done using it, and you've seen the low battery, then go ahead and plug it in.
I don't know how to get rid of that. So for the loading screen,
Yep.
how would you like say if it won't go past the loading screen, is that like drift as well, or it could be something else?
It could be, so what's happening with the 0 point is, or what's happening with the loading screen is that it's trying to find a 0 point when it powers on. So it's starting up, and it's just on a stable surface, and it's trying to find a 0 point. If your scale is fluctuating in weight during the startup, it's not able to find a 0 point, so it's just kind of getting stuck in that loading screen.
Yeah, and could there be other reasons why it's not coming past the loading screen?
Let's see. If there's damage to the board, if there's damage to the load cell, yeah, if there's damage to like the circuit board, that could be part of the issue. If you've exposed the original Pearl's circuit board to water, that could be part of the issue of why it won't move past the loading screen. But like 9 times out of 10, it's like due to some kind of fluctuation in weight.
Nice. I'll just remind everyone again, if you have any questions, you can put them in the question box at the bottom, and we can bring it up and talk about it. This is more of a general question. I've just ordered an Acaia Pearl. Which ISO apps should I download? Acaia Updater or the Pearl Updater?
Pearl Updater. You'd want a Pearl Updater, and I like Brewmaster.
Yeah, I also use Brewmaster as well. I'm brewing at home.
That's my go-to.
It's pretty good. Any more questions? Do you have anything you want to like focus on or like talk about as well?
Separately, I mean, we have the other scales as well, experience drift in different ways as well. So this little guy, it's very sensitive. It weighs to 1/100th of a gram. So, pardon me.
It's a tiny guy.
Yeah. The 1/100th of a gram is just like kind of crazy responsive. And you might see that kind of like going up and down if you have it on your drip tray. And that can be due to just like steam rising up from the drip tray. Or it could be, like you said, like the steam wand kind of blowing pressure down. And you're seeing this like crazy fluctuation in those 1/100ths of a gram. In which like it's really not like going beyond like 1/10 of a gram or like 2/10 of a gram. So it looks like it's dramatically fluctuating, but it's not really. moving that far. Then again, let's see. The same things can occur, like this can be dented. The base and shell can be twisted if dropped. Load cell screws can be loose. And then, go ahead.
Yeah, someone's just asking, let's say when and if you drop it, because it happens, like we know people drop stuff all the time.
Totally, yeah.
We're humans.
Let us know.
Yeah, yes. Is there a warranty, and can you open it up and repair it yourself? What about calibrating? Lots of questions in one.
Yeah. So drops aren't covered under warranty. Warranty covers like defect. So if you physically drop it, that's kind of on you. Can it be repaired? Most likely. It depends where you're located. We offer full service repairs within the U.S. It kind of depends on what's occurred with your scale, what scale it is. If you've dropped your scale and you contact us, please let us know. Like, hey, I dropped my scale. It kind of just helps us pinpoint what the issue is. I was troubleshooting with someone in Europe at one point in time, and they said, I dropped a 12-ounce bag on my scale, and it was drifting. I don't know what's going on with it. I'm like, oh, like check this, check that. And eventually it went from a 12-ounce bag to like 3 days later, it was like, oh, I think it was like a 5-pound bag. I was like, oh, that's definitely going to cause an issue. And then 2 days after that, I was like, it was an EK43 that dropped on my scale. I was like, yeah, this 75-pound grinder will just absolutely destroy your scale. But yeah, I mean, it just being just straight up from the first email, like, hey, we accidentally dropped a grinder on our scale. Like, I'm not going to waste your time and like having you try all these different things when that's not going to be the solution. The solution for that was to provide like a refurbished scale in exchange for the damaged scale. But we could have like knocked that out in my reply instead of me saying like, well, like maybe tighten that load cell screws, like check and see if everything's like down, because the difference between even a 12-ounce bag and a 5-pound bag.
Did you see like a photo of the scale? Was it pretty like banged up after getting in a fight with a grinder?
No, they never provided a photo. I think it was a Pearl, so yeah. But just even like, just tell us. Like, it happens all the time. I'm sure, all of us have dropped a scale at maybe some point in time, whether it's like one of ours or, another coffee scale of some sort. Yeah, so just be straightforward and just let us know. We're not out to like nickel and dime you on repairs. We just want to repair the part that needs to be fixed. We took a lot of inspiration, or at least I took a lot of inspiration from how Baratza runs their model of customer support. Ultimately, like, once you have one of these, it should last you for as long as you want it to last you. We have Kickstarter Pearls that I've updated to the latest firmware. I replaced the battery for them, and then it just keeps going. Within the U.S., almost all of the parts can be replaced. If you've damaged your scale to the point of no return, we will exchange that scale for a refurbished scale for a refurbished price. For refurbishing fee.
Steve says, raise your hand if you snagged a USB cable and launched your scale across a room. I've seen them getting launched across rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't done it, but I've seen like several of them get launched across a room, and it kind of your heart falls out. Let's say that your heart falls out. But with opening.
So there were other.
Yeah.
Opening and repairing it yourself. That's like another. Please don't do that. Reach out to us. Let us know what's going on. We're going to provide you instructions. If we tell you to do something, like we tell you to, unscrew the base, look at this, look at that, that's good. But it's like when you go in there on your own and you kind of start pulling stuff apart. I mean, we have like software engineers and engineers, and I don't know, like we've had people way smarter than me dig into those scales and just make some of the not brightest moves. Just snapping wires. If you say you work on espresso machines, we've had people that are espresso machine techs. They're like, oh, I can handle this. I got it. I work on espresso machines all the time. You don't work on coffee scales. So sometimes like they'll go and just like, oh, I can just resolder this. Like you shouldn't have to resolder anything. Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll instruct you if you contact us. But yeah, again, we want to address what exactly is going on.
And I will always say that if you are asking us information, always send like the little serial number, like right here, because it's so helpful for when we're trying to find information about your scale.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah. And then I think there was another part of the question.
Yeah, there was
one
more.
Calibrating.
So it depends on what's going on with your scale. If you've thrown off a calibration more than 8 to 10 grams, what's needed is called a linear calibration, and that linear calibration resets the 500, 1,000, and 1,500 gram calibration points. So that's just making it accurate and like all across the weighing capacity. You need 3 500 gram calibration weights. You want to use an F1 or an F2 class calibration weight. You can buy like super cheap calibration weights off of Amazon, but they're only accurate to like half a gram or like full grams. So they're not accurate to 1/10 of a gram, which is what our scale's accuracy is. Our calibration weights available on our website are to an F2 class calibration.
Yeah. And they're also available on our EU website too.
There you go.
Yeah. I think someone.
One more point to that. Not all of our resellers, but a lot of our resellers have those calibration kits. So say you're based in Canada. Our friends at 8 ounce have those calibration kits, and you can get your scale calibrated through 8 ounce. If this is due to a drop, they might charge like a small service fee, but it should be a small service fee and not like an arm and a leg. And resellers throughout Europe, Indonesia, kind of all over the world. A lot of resellers have this. Not all of them do, though. So I think that should cover. Like if you're based in the States and you need your scale recalibrated, reach out to us. We charge just like the $17 service fee. We're going to do like a full once over again. We're not trying to like charge you for things that you don't need. Like I come from a barista background. You come a barista background as well. Like we don't have a ton of cash. Like that's just kind of that's what it comes down to. And like when you buy these things, we recognize like and I train my customer support team. Like these are investments. Like when you buy an Acaia Pearl, when you buy like a Baratza Encore, you're investing over $100 in these products, and you want them to work forever. And so we recognize this investment, and we're not trying to like. We have firmware updates available for our scales. We're not trying to like get you to the next scale or like essentially charge you for another scale, just to get a repair done.
So someone's asking if we sell refurbished scales.
We don't sell refurbished scales outright. If you have a damaged scale, we will exchange your damaged scale for the refurbished scale for a refurbishing fee. So rather than just like spend all the time and energy into replacing every single part in your scale, we're just going to like take that, I'm going to ship it back to the Taiwan team and have them fully refurb your original scale. Yeah. And then I've got a stock of refurbs that I can just get out to you right away.
This is it's a company question. What does the name Acaia stand for? Just curious. Do you know the answer for this?
It is a Brazilian varietal of coffee, and I found this out through, if you dig through the archives, our head of marketing, Jen Chen, was a guest on the Cat and Cloud podcast, and that's how I found out.
Oh, nice. Yeah, actually, I kind of sort of found out on Wednesday when we were doing the live with Jonas in Brazil, because he was describing all the plants that were behind him, and he just goes, "Yeah, this is the Acaia coffee plant," and everyone was like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah.
You mean it's not named after that like little purple fruit thing that we just say it wrong? No.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is there a way to get my scale fixed if I can't do it myself? In my country, there's no dealer. Just message us. You can DM us, or email us, and then you can send us your serial number and stuff. And also what is wrong with your scale, because you won't be even actually able to fix it yourself.
Yeah, there's a chance that maybe there's some troubleshooting that we can walk you through, and you can perform that repair yourself. It might be something as simple as just identifying that a wire is blowing out, that a screw is loose, that the base is shifted. It depends on where you're located. Our U.S. team handles repairs and in the U.S. and Central and South America as well. So if you're based in Central or South America, we can probably assist you. We can more than likely assist you.
Yeah, and we also have an office in Europe as well, where we have someone fixing scales.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There might have been a question I missed. If you do have a question, let us know now, because we have about 20 minutes left. Please don't throw your scales across the room, as Steve wrote. The last thing you want to do.
We didn't cover drift with the Pro Model S. So with the Pro Model S, the base can shift like the Lunar. With that, you would just need a 2.5 millimeter hex wrench. You could just shift it to where there's an even gap between the base and shell, like an even gap all the way around. Something I noticed when I got my Pro S, it seemed like super sensitive to just me like walking by it. So I went in and adjusted the settings so that it didn't seem as sensitive. And I'm going to jump in right now. Let's do this. Wonder what I can show. Okay. Let's see. You'll press and hold the power button. Settings displays. And then to get into the settings, you just tap. That firmware is an internal firmware. Let's see what we're testing right now. And then you're going to cycle through just by tapping the chair button. And let me get to it. Let's see. You're going to go to filter, which is your weighing filter, and then press and hold. It's set to normal by default. If you tap, you can change it to high, and then press and hold to save and exit the submenu. And then, let me double check, yeah. And then like the very next thing is the
zero tracking.
Yeah, let's go. The zero tracking. So if you press and hold the chair button, you enter the submenu. It's set to 1 division. I like to crank that little baddie up to 2 divisions. So you'll just tap. So if you tap, you're cycling through the different options available. I like to set it to 2D for the Pro Model S, and then just press and hold to exit the submenu, and then just double tap to exit the settings.
Nice.
So when I was up in Sumner, Washington for the regional qualifying events for SCA, the Coffee Champs, there were only like maybe 2 or 3 people that I saw using the Pro Model S, but I went ahead and adjusted their settings so that the scale wasn't as sensitive to the unsteady surface of a folding table, essentially. And I have that for when I'm set up here at home on a countertop. Like, I love it.
Yeah. I do remember being at some coffee competitions where the tables were just so insecure, like just moving all over the place at Brewers
Yeah.
Cups. And I think I've seen it happen a few times in different countries, and they've just had to like go over to people with scales and like change the sensitivity.
Yeah. I feel like in 2014, maybe there was like a regional coffee competition that was held in like maybe Milwaukee or somewhere in Wisconsin. It was when they still had like super regional, like so Southwest and Northwest and Pacific Northwest, like all of those qualifiers. The qualifier was occurring at like a boxing gym, and the Brewers Cup table was set up in like a boxing rink. And so it wasn't like it was like kind of ridiculous. It was a very unstable surface. So creative idea. It looked cool, but I can't remember what year that was, but
yeah, I think they did that for the World Airpress Championship, like either last year or the year before. They did do it like they had people going against each other in the ring, but I wonder if they like put a more secure surface on the floor of the ring.
for whatever this competition, I wasn't there. I was only like, I had friends that came back from it. I was in Chicago at the time. And they're like, this was just crazy. Like my numbers just kept like moving back and forth. And I think everybody was using like Ascali or Jennings or whatever at the time. It was before I think Acaia had released the Pro, like Kickstarter Pro.
Yeah. I will also say is that sometimes on the scales, if you see a decrease in numbers, it's not always drift. It's actually just evaporation from your coffee.
Yep. I remember I got my first Pearl, and the guy that hired me, I like reached out to him. I just got the job. He let me borrow his Pearl just so I could start to become familiar with it. I don't think I had even started, and I was like brewing coffee. I was like, I think this thing is defective. Like I was like, it just keeps going into a negative weight after I've finished brewing. And he's like, put a saucer on top of your carafe. And I was like, what? And so I did it, and I was like, what is going on? It's like, did the saucer make the weight more steady? Or it's like, no, you're experiencing evaporation. If you dig through the archives on our blog, there's a blog post about it.
Yeah, actually, this is also a good thing on the blog and the help center and stuff, that if you have a question, there's usually like an article or an answer somewhere in there. And if there's not, message us. Always message us.
And it's probably in the works. Maybe we have a draft that we can send your way.
Yeah.
That's like the bulk of drift and stuff getting stuck in the loading screen. As far as like what could potentially cause those issues, like I said, it's typically due to some kind of physical contact, whether it's the wires, whether it's like a dented shell, whether it's your scale getting physically contacted by the ground, and now you have loose Lutzel screws. That kind of covers.
I think there's also Was there also like something else I think we talked about? It might have been like someone was asking us once if they could put an Acaia scale into a fridge or a freezer or something.
We had
I
somebody
don't know if
ask
you.
if they could dose in a. Uh, they asked if they could put an Orion in a freezer. They wanted to freeze coffee, and then they wanted to dose that said frozen coffee. I need to follow up with that customer. I have like an open ticket with that person, and it was like
Yeah.
months ago. I think they ended up buying an Orion. I said, hey, let us know what your results are because we'd like to share that information. So,
Yeah, because I think it was like minus 32 Celsius maybe or something in the freezer. It was something
yeah,
crazy cold, but we
yeah,
weren't
yeah,
even sure because we're so used to dealing with like hot temperatures and not like
yeah.
super cold ones.
That's obviously something that we weren't thinking of and decided to test, like put in some time in testing. So I believe this person is going to share his results or his or her results or their
Mm,
results with us.
yeah, and I think someone asked that earlier on about if you want to fix the scale outside Europe or the US. We have loads of resellers all over the world, and many of
Mhm.
them do know how to repair our scales as well, and can give really good like support and feedback in whatever language. Hopefully, like a lot of languages.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think we have any more questions. So I will just say if anyone has any last questions before we finish up in about 5, 6 minutes, let us know.
Yeah,
Um,
if you have a quick question about your scale, it's been doing something, maybe I can give you a possible reason why that is occurring. I've been with the company since we launched the Lunar in 2015. I was hired as the customer support person, and so if something's going on with your scale, I've probably dealt with it firsthand, and I've just quite a bit of experience repairing these scales.
mm.
So if you have a question, feel free to shoot one our way.
I think a question I've been getting a lot is recently through the DMs and stuff. It's people asking why the timer stops when they lift the carafe or to like do the row spin.
Um,
And there was like a
it depends
because I
on
think
what it
yeah, I
depends
think
on
it's like
what
timer auto
scale.
reset.
With the So in Scott Rao's video, he uses, I think, a lunar. And I feel like it's either Rao or Perger uses a
Mm,
lunar in their video, and they're showing like the swirl, and the scale is not stopping. So it is possible for that to continue to count up and perform that method. With the Pearl Model S, there's like this auto reset time that can be adjusted. Um, it won't occur in the dual display mode in the original Pearl, but it will occur in the beverage mode of the Pearl. Trying to think. With the Lunar, none of the auto modes, all of the auto modes are designed for espresso and not designed for pour over. So if you lift something up from the Lunar while brewing pour over in an auto mode, it's going to stop because it's thinking the shot has stopped.
mm,
But it won't stop in the dual display mode of the Lunar. Um, so what you were touching on is the reset within the Pro Model S. If you update to the latest firmware, you can adjust your auto reset time, in which we're changing the title of that so it's a little more intuitive. But that way, if you're brewing a clever, if you're brewing an AeroPress, a French press, any like full immersion, your timer will continue to count up. And you can reset that to, I think, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds are off. And you can just change it to off.
yeah,
So if you're brewing French press or AeroPress or whatever, that'll continue to count up.
something like that. Whoop. Someone's asking. Would Acaia ever make different color scales, i.e. pastel colors? Our original scales were pastels.
So we launched with the Kickstarter, I think white, black, a gold, which we did a pretty heavy production on, and I think have since run out. And then we did 10 like baby blue and 10 like soft pink. And if you have either one of those scales, preferably the soft pink, I will trade you a Pro Model S for it because I want to see it. I remember looking at the Kickstarter campaign and like talking with her founder Rex. I was like, did we actually produce those, or is that just something that no one took an interest in? In purchasing, and he's like, no, they're out there, and I'm like, I want to see one. The original Kickstarter scales had like a green display, like the first production run, instead of like this white display. It's like a neon green. If you're not a fan of that, reach out to us. If you're based in the U.S., I'll replace your circuit board for free. I think those boards are super unique and interesting, but I can understand like how it's not maybe the most aesthetically pleasing display.
Yeah, I've never seen a pink or a blue scale out in the wild or on the internet
same.
anywhere.
I would offer money for one, like well over the cost of the Kickstarter. Yeah, I think that's just so cool. It's super, super rare. So if you have a pink or a blue one, you should tag us because I desperately want to see it out in the wild.
You tag us and then Tony will email you.
Yeah,
personally.
I will email you, offer you cash and also a scale in exchange for it, like whichever Pro Model S you want. I'll set you up.
Okay, I don't think we have any more questions anyway, so we're gonna finish up. Just to ask people if you have any suggestions for like a future tech talk you would like us to talk about, like scales or products or the Orion or anything like that, please let us know. We're going to be also uploading the tech talk. This one and all of our other ones are going to be going to our IGTV. We can tell if you spray paint it soft pink. We'll know.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely, we will know. And also we're going to be putting them up on YouTube as well in the future.
Yeah.
So you can find everything. And also just a reminder to everyone, it's Memorial Day weekend over in the US.
That is correct.
Right now. And like our US team has Monday off.
Correct. We will not be available on Monday, but we will follow up on Tuesday for any questions.
Yeah. What's I don't even know what the traditional thing to do is on Memorial Day.
Grill and chill.
Grill and chill? Was it wear white or something? No, it's Labor Day.
You can't wear white after Labor Day is the, I don't know.
Okay. I don't know any.
I mean, I wear like white, full white all the time. Like, I don't care if it's Labor Day or not, before or after.
Yeah. The only traditions I know in the U.S. would be for holidays are fireworks on the 4th of July and turkey on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Like barbecue. Any like Memorial Day is just kind of like a kickoff of summer. Pools open usually after Memorial Day. Not that anybody's going to be going to a pool in the coming weeks. But like barbecuing, that's pretty common.
That's correct, Jen. Please don't put scales by the grill. Yeah.
No, don't
put your scales by the grill. Hot scales are bad. Room temperature scales are better.
Yeah.
Okay.
More ideal.
You go. Have a great weekend. Cool. Thank you so much. We're going to be putting this up on IGTV now. Oh, I will. I'm going to play with the cat now.
Nice.
Okay. Bye.